Hello everybody.
Hello.
Welcome to the podcast stuff.
The podcast stuff.
How's everybody doing? Welcome on in. We're just getting started up here on a new idea. I don't even know if we tweeted it out yet. Shens, what's up?
Uh, I don't know. Did we tweet it out? I don't know. I know I posted it in my Discord. Then I did.
Boom. Spoo's not here right now. He's supposed to be right there. But we have standard damage. And we're going to talk about marbles and streaming stuff. We want to make this... we want to make this about you guys. And we're going to try to do this every day before Community Day. And walk into it all together and just kind of bounce around. And primarily, this is just really about streaming more than marbles. We can obviously bounce around about marbles. I'm the dev of marbles. I'm Mike. If you're just popping in, and we just really want to reflect off you guys and learn all together and turn this into a really big learning experience. As I've already learned so much about streaming, just by interacting with everybody. So I think that's where we're gonna start off with. Nicholas, what's going on? Yeah, Standard. If you want to start off and introduce yourself.
Oh, sure. For those of you that don't know me already, I'm Standard Damage, better known as Jamie. I'm community manager for Pixel by Pixel Studios, and a lot of the focus of my channel has been, marbles itself, of course, but also we are rapidly becoming a teaching channel for other marble streamers as well. So the reason we're here this morning, that's, as Mike already introduced, a lot of the reason we're here, of course, is we want to help you. We want to help you grow. We don't want to just say to you, hey, you need to do this, or you need to focus on your channel, or talk in general terms. We want to get more specific with all of you. But to give you my simple backstory here, I actually have been streaming now for almost 2 years. My streaming anniversary is going to come up the end of February. I am a father of 2, grandfather of 1. I started streaming marbles, ironically, just a little bit after my wife and I both lost our jobs at the same time. So I kind of stumbled into marbles right around that time. And while this was not my original intention, I very rapidly ended up becoming a full-time streamer. And I have been streaming marbles pretty consistently ever since. I've been streaming marbles exclusively since July of this past year. And we've just been really been pushing hard, really going at it. And our channel has seen just tremendous growth. And now I'm trying to pass along the lessons, both the good and the bad, that I have learned along the way to all of you. So that's a lot of what we want to do today. And for today, just like we did in our class last night, I want to, we were hoping to keep it a little bit informal today. And we want to know some of the things that you would like for us to cover in future podcasts. Like, what questions do you have? What are some ideas that we could feed off of, things like that, so that we can actually provide you all with better content. So
That's awesome. Yeah, guys. So just to reflect off that, if anybody in chat, just as we're talking, you're welcome to chime in, and if you want anything specific to be talked about and covered, I'm going to be taking notes throughout the whole podcast. Then as we go forward with the podcast over the coming weeks, we'll continue to add that value that you guys are looking for. And we'll just share information we can just cover anything, really. And today we're gonna cover a couple topics. One specific topic of growth, and then we'll bounce off you guys as you guys want. So welcome on out. Yeah. So Spoo's spot is blank. We're just gonna have people either Standard or Spoo, and we might have everybody, just however people become available.
We need a picture of one of his emotes or something like that, and we'll just like put that there.
We need the Spoo creep emote. Yeah, that would be a good idea. We need to add that.
we need to put like if you're happen to be off screen or something like that, we need the surprise pixel in there. Like
Yeah, just like
just peeking up over top of the edge.
over that one.
Good morning, Shibuya. Dark Lord Lucifer, welcome in. Enders, it's good to see you.
So
I recently started streaming marbles in the Dutch community, and I noticed that song request is a great addition. Do any of you use song requests during this? Marvelous Kenzie, speaking personally, for quite a while, I did. I use song requests, and I no longer do. One of the things that was brought up during our classroom session in the Discord last night is taking control of your stream. And again, it's going to depend on the kind of content you need and want to put out there. So if you find that song requests are working really well for you and you find out that you're able to keep the mood and the pace of your stream the way you want to, I would never argue against song requests under those circumstances. What I found out in my stream was that it was actually song requests were actually destroying the pacing. I like having I run kind of a chill stream, but I like to keep the energy up. And I have very specific music that I like to use. Anybody that's been to my stream, you know that I'm a big trance head. So I like having like upbeat trance, upbeat EDM behind marbles because it just seems to go so well. And the theme of my channel as well feeds off of trance music and trance culture and raver culture. So for me, that was the smart move. But that doesn't mean that it's that way for everybody. So the answer that I would give you to that is, as long as the song requests are not interfering with your content, as long as your song requests are feeding into it and helping you grow, nothing wrong with song requests at all. Song requests can actually be an absolutely fantastic thing. Just depends on the mood and how you want to set the tone of your content.
Yeah, it's always a challenge, right? Having your chat reflect off something that's as open as song request, right?
Yeah.
Of course, you could have there are systems out there where you can set up filters and have like a playlist, and then people can pick from that playlist, and then people are just kind of like rejumbling your own playlist essentially, right?
Yeah.
But it's always a challenge to get dynamic content that's going to be right away presented to the stream and keep it in a clean and keep the stream flowing to the pace that you want as a streamer as well.
Yeah.
So it's definitely a lot of things to think about, but definitely in content creation, there's no ends and like there's no boundaries. It's really the lines that you walk and the points that you want to hit on your stream.
Yeah. Yeah. Another thing, and this gets a little more advanced, but when you start using your own clips to promote your channel, like when you're taking clips from your channel and all that, and I know, Mike, you've brought this up before right on stream, if you've got copyrighted music behind you, there's a lot you can't use it for. So that's something else that you have to keep in mind too, is you might lose some golden moments in your stream that maybe you want to use to project across social media, things like that, if there's copyrighted music behind it. So that's just a little something extra to keep in mind too. Or if you want people to be able to come back and watch your VODs, there's going to be blank spots in your VODs if it picks up on a copyrighted song somewhere along the line too. So
yeah, totally.
That's just another little thing to keep in mind. Absolutely.
And with the whole idea of like using content to generate content, it definitely limits you in that sense as well, with the whole idea of copyrights and you might walk into boundaries and stuff, right? If you want to do marketing material, then that copyright can take an effect as well. Yeah. And then it's also always best to obviously consult a lawyer regarding legal stuff like that to get the proper laws for your area for that stuff specifically.
Absolutely.
Deadpool, at what point in your streaming career did you guys start to see the best growth, and what was it that you think changed to see that growth? I guess I'll go first. See, for me it's a bit different because, well, I mean, like, I still consider myself a content creator as like a game developer because I'm always streaming and I stream all the content. And I noticed it when Marbles started growing. I saw the opportunity where everybody was coming out and having a good time, and I was on that peak of like 75 average. I was at like I think I was at like 60 to 70, and I was already
Mm-hmm.
on my path of doing that 1 year. Or I was at the time I think I was doing the 90 day. Like I extended my challenge to 90 days straight of streaming 8 hours a day,
Mm-hmm.
and I saw the growth, and I was like, okay, now's the time to commit. It's something that I always say. But I committed to just my path, and I just continued going every single day, 8 hours a day minimum, and pushing as hard as I can towards the goal of just continued growth. I wasn't specifically aimed at partner because I never really understood it, truthfully,
Mm-hmm.
of what it was and what it meant and what it stood for on the platform. I just kind of like looked at it as like a badge. Oh, cool, but it was something that I wanted to keep pushing for with the community.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just committed to that, and I ended up going 370 days straight, 8 hours a day, and it was a great learning experience, but I don't know if I would suggest everybody do that because
Mm-hmm.
it's hard mentally, it's hard physically. It's just it's a challenge, but it was a good
Yeah.
challenge. It taught me so much about the platform and so much about communities and people, I feel like it helped me develop marbles as well. So it was a great wholesome experience.
Yeah. Oh yeah. For um for me, Deadpool, it's my path has been really bizarre to me. It was, like I mentioned earlier, like, we my path, like full time path, started when I lost my job. Um, and I decided that what ended up happening, and I need to explain it this way because my growth has had like different spurts, and I've had like a lot of different plateaus that I've hit, but like it was weird because I just decided that since you can only send out so many resumes and you can only do so many job interviews, and you don't have complete control over that, I would take the rest of the time and stream. Well, that's when streaming started to take off. And what happened was when I discovered marbles, it's one of those things. Like I talk a lot about, like when people ask me what game they should play when they stream. I am a huge believer in you have to match the streamer's personality to the content. Which, when you say put it that way, sounds like a big duh, but really, like your personality should lend to the game that you play or the content you provide. So whether it's an art stream or just chatting or however you do it. Well, Marbles was mine. Marbles was mine. Marbles allowed me to still provide a game, but also be as chatty as I wanted to be. And I had this initial explosion. Now, the problem with that is, and when I say explosion, I went from basically around 5 or 8 to suddenly being up like around 50, between 50 and 60. And the problem with that kind of explosion is you have sudden success and you don't necessarily know how you got there. So, because it's not a natural progression, all of a sudden your stream is a whole lot busier and you're kind of scrambling around to figure out exactly what you're supposed to be doing, where you're supposed to be going. And what that caused for me is that caused a massive plateau that stuck around for months. I actually fell back a little bit, like fell back into the 40s and 50s, messed around with my content a little bit. And the reason I'm explaining all this to you is when my real growth started to happen was actually this past July, when I finally got pissed enough to say, you know what, I'm done screwing around with this. I'm done hanging out in this range for numbers and all that. I want my community to grow. Like I really want that growth. And what happened was I refocused. I focused on one game, which is where I really needed to be this whole time. All right. But the other really big component to this was I started getting very active on social media, which I wasn't doing. My social media was pretty close to ignored. All right, I'd throw something up here and there, but nothing super serious. Once I started getting a lot more into social media and better networking, and honestly just throwing myself headlong into the community, getting more involved in the discords, hanging out a little bit more in other channels, things like that, that's when the growth and all that really started to take off. But it was a very, I attribute everything that spike that kickstarted in July to having a very singular pinpointed focus as far as where I needed to be, what game I needed to be playing, and how I was going to dive into the community. That was really the start of all that.
Yeah, so social media is so important, and it's a challenge. It's a challenge because it starts walking into like this is a job because you're just constantly doing, and it opens up the doors and windows to like how long can you actually do this for, in the
Hmm.
sense of like you could work 24/7 on this stuff because
Oh
social's
yeah.
always going, it's always moving, and like
Hmm.
it's always moving forward and always changing and evolving, and you could essentially always be talking on it, right? You could always be communicating because there's always somebody talking of something you're interested in, guaranteed. And it's not just about marbles, it's just about where you like to hang out.
Yeah, it's on demand content. It's on demand content, and that's what makes it important. Like imagine, one of the best analogies I was given, Mike, was imagine you're married, all right, and for 5 hours a day, your spouse is there, and the rest of the time, poof, they disappear. You don't know where they went to. You can't reach them. You can't communicate with them. There's no way to get in contact. What streaming is very much that way. You're there for the time that you're live. Your content is super valuable while you're live, and you have that interaction and all that, and then you're gone. The way you fill in those gaps are through like things like social media, YouTube, um, Twitter videos, all that little stuff. Video content is particularly important. Original content is particularly important. I think one of the biggest indicators to me that things were really starting to gel on the social media side of things was, and with networking and all that, was when all of a sudden I would fire up OBS every day, and in OBS, of course, is where my event list is. And while I was away, I had a whole bunch of new follows. I wasn't even live, and all of a sudden, all these follows are starting to show up, and that was a really good indicator to me that I was starting to do the right things as far as that was concerned. But I can't stress that enough, that you need to be more places than just on Twitch. You need to be out there. It's a great way to reach your community while you're not around. You're having a solid Discord is also good. Having a solid Discord is also good, because that your community that's already established, when you can stop in and check in with them once in a while and say, "Hey guys, how's it going?" or "Good morning," or post a funny meme in there or something like that, something that struck you funny that day. That gives it that little bit of a personal touch as well.
Yeah, it's definitely also not just about that idea of like you're like that idea that you said, like where you're married and then they go away for like the rest of the time. It's not just that. It's
Mm-hmm.
not just, you can't think of the same person either, right? Because some
Yeah.
platforms you might interact with somebody on a regular basis on Instagram, they've never seen you stream, but
Yeah.
they enjoy your content on Instagram. They enjoy the clips that you post, but that's where they live. They live on Instagram. They might not have the time to do Twitch or whatever. They might not know about it.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to think of it as like different communities, but also the same people across all communities, and you can earn different people's respect across all the different platforms.
Yeah.
So as more platforms come up and old ones rotate out, you have to stay relevant on all of them and move across them, because that's the way business is going to work these days, is that you got to like just evolve across the relevant platforms that are existing, that the human eyes are interacting with,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's like it's such a
Oh yeah.
challenge, and it's a challenge because each one has its own framework as well, and of how it works and how people interact with it.
Yeah.
Like I'm still
Oh
learning.
yeah.
I just still don't understand TikTok.
I'm still that's one I'm still like, I have a TikTok account, but I haven't done anything with it yet. You and I have talked about that one on one about, you can't be everywhere, and you need to figure out exactly where your potential audience is, and then focus your social media that way. Because there's definitely different crowds on TikTok versus Instagram versus Twitter versus Facebook versus, and try to figure out what I've decided to do. Like, I focus on Twitter and Instagram right now, because that seems to be where I can make the most connections. You know, not that I don't have a Facebook presence, not that I don't have a little clip on LinkedIn and all that good stuff. It's just that that's where I really focus in, because I've done my best networking is Twitter, especially. I have done my best networking on Twitter. And again, it's going to depend on exactly where your potential audience is. I would never say to anybody, only focus on these areas, or this particular social media is number one. What's going to be number one for you as an individual, it could be very different than what it is for the streamer next to you, for the content creator next to you. And Deadpool Plays, by the way, I saw what you said about creating content for YouTube is the biggest problem. I have a hard time with video editing. Welcome to the club. Welcome to the club. It does, as many of the YouTubers in my community have reminded me, the more you edit videos, the more familiar you get with the editing software of your choice. Like for me, it's Premiere Pro, the faster it does get. And you also, like your shooting methods, like how you shoot the videos and all that, you have to learn some very hard lessons in the beginning that are going to make your life very difficult. You just got to be willing to get past them. We have some other YouTubers that I know, people that have been YouTubing since 2006, by the way, in the chat with us right now, and they can tell you too. It does get easier. It does get easier, but it's just like with Twitch. You've got to find your style. You got to kind of get into the swing of it, that kind of thing. Once you do get more efficient with it. You do get more efficient with it. Absolutely.
For sure. Absolutely. Yeah, like repetition is key, right? Like the 10,000 hour rule, right? It's like you're not a professional until you do 10,000 hours, so, and you just continue learning every time. And if you have goals when you're editing, and this is if you're editing, if you have goals while you're editing, to like always try something new in that video, even if it's just a simple transition or a fade or something. Try to learn something new, and then you'll always expand, right? And by Googling these things, like, okay, I want to learn fading. Then you Google it, you might get another tip while you're at that site where he says, okay, to fade, use this hotkey. And you're like, whoa, I didn't even know that hotkey. And then you start expanding that way. And then step by step, things get easier and easier. But also on the idea of like, you don't have to create content just for YouTube, right? Mm-hmm. You're already, like Deadpool, you're already creating amazing content on Twitch, right? So what you can do is extract that or record it at the same time, extract it, and then produce content from that content. So you don't have, because I think you're somebody who doesn't have as much time to put into this whole system as other people do, right? Like you have other things to commit to. Where, so what might help is like you take that video and then extract the hot points that maybe even somebody clipped, but then you go back to that point and then pull out a section and then put that on YouTube because it was really good with the community or something, or even something you said during that time, you extract it and post it onto Twitter as a quote. Right? There's so many things you can do with that kind of stuff. And that way you're making one piece of content and producing several from it. And that's obviously, what do you call it? Optimizing your time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. If I could throw another suggestion out there, Deadpool, what I started with, by the way, and I have to get back into the habit of doing more of these on top of the YouTube content. I've been kind of tangling myself up, learning more efficient ways to handle YouTube on top of like the streaming and the classes and everything else. But teach yourself, the longer the video you try to make, the more work you have to put into it. Sound, colorization, everything. All right, to try and make it a quality product. It's not, YouTube isn't the way it used to be. It's not a bunch of us hanging out on our webcams anymore from our kitchens. You know, now there's like serious production quality that goes into a lot of this. But what you can do, and here's a great recommendation as far as to everybody, as far as getting out on social media, practice in 1 minute clips. Practice in 1 minute clips. So in other words, record a 1 minute video, 1 minute or less. All right. And then put that content out on Twitter and Instagram. All right. Now you have, and I say 1 minute because 1 minute or less is what you need for Instagram, like to get an actual post up there, as opposed to using like Instagram TV or something like that. So go 1 minute or less, and that's a great way to start to develop your video editing skills too, because 1 minute is much easier to handle. It's like you're taking bite-sized chunks out of a YouTube video. And then as time progresses, one of the things that I ran into is I was trying to do these little 1 minute and 2 minute videos, and I needed more time. And that's when I decided that YouTube needed to become a thing, because then I could really use YouTube to really get out there. And that's really my next frontier is YouTube. But for practice and to get yourself in good habits, including good habits with your social media, you kind of kill multiple birds with one stone with this one. Again, try doing 1 minute videos. Just do a 1 minute video. Record something poignant, an original thought you had, some personal observation, maybe just how you're feeling that day, and use that and edit that down. And that will really help as well. That'll really help as well.
Totally. Valo, the happy comment. I think it's a good conversation to have, and it's a good question to reflect off yourself. It's not really anything else. It's not really something that anybody else can tell you about. But you gotta, if you change your whole perspective to chase happiness instead of success, that'll lead you to success. If whatever you're doing makes you happy, you'll have a way better time doing everything. You'll be like let's say you're happy, creating content. Then you'll be like, okay, when I pull up a video and I want to edit it, you'll be excited to learn something new. You'll get excited for that next thing. And that's why I always say, like, double down on your skills, the things that you're good at and that make you happy. Don't like look at something and be like, how can this make me happy? Because then it's forcing it, right? You just got to do the things that truly make you happy and make you smile at the end of the day. And sometimes it's tough to find that thing, but everybody's got that thing. Everybody's got that thing that just like, oh my god, you could talk about it all day. And that's what you need to find.
All day.
All day.
All day. And it really is true. That's such a great point, Mike. You just it speaks to passion. Like so many times you'll hear content creators say to you, you know, I can't tell you how many times, like my expression always is like, take it on the chin. I can't tell you how many times you're going to take it on the chin as a content creator. You're trying, because you're trying to prove yourself to an audience. You're trying to grow an audience. You're trying to grow a community. At the same time, you are also trying to prove yourself to, places like corporate entities, including like as a Twitch streamer. You're trying to prove yourself to Twitch that you're worthy of, say, partnership or something like that. You're trying to prove yourself to corporate entities that you're worthy of sponsorships, things like that. There's all these things that you're going to do, and that's the hard part. All right, that's like getting other people to value your content is the hard part. If you love what you are doing, no matter how many times you take it across the chin like that, you will bounce back. So you've got it. You have to have that love of what you're doing. Otherwise, that's why so many people don't make it, because it gets to the point where it starts feeling like work to them, or they can't persevere through taking it across the chin multiple times and getting knocked down. And then it gets to the point, it's like, you know what, I'm going to go try something else. And that's fine. That's fine. But again, if you want to make it in the realm of content creation, no matter where you're creating your content for that matter, love what you are doing, and you'll figure it out along the way. Any lessons you need to learn because you want to keep doing it because you enjoy it so much, you're going to be willing to take the time to learn those lessons and come back that much stronger.
Yeah. Yeah. You've definitely seen it in my content across the 2 years. I used to play a lot of marbles, like just play. And nowadays I do a lot of development on stream. And that's just me doing the things that make me happy. Like, I try to do the development when I feel like developing. This way it also helps the creation part of it, right? Like, if I'm happy doing the development at the time, then my mind's just flowing, and I can easily just access the things that I want to create and just be like, okay, I get really creative. But if I'm feeling not into it, then it already creates a boundary just to get started.
Yeah.
That's definitely a challenge too. So yeah, that's why I bounce around a lot, is like I try to do things when I'm passionate about it. Right now I'm a little bit passionate about Fortnite, so I play a little bit of Fortnite.
It's one of the most heartbreaking things I ever see on social media, and I see it way often than I would like to, but man, I was having a tough time hitting that go live button today. Like they'll come right out and post that, and it's okay to post how you're feeling. I'm not saying that. It's just that if you start to feel like that, and when you start seeing it like multiple days from the same person, it's like I want to grab that person by the shoulders and shake them a little bit and say, well, then look at what you're doing. You're obviously unhappy with what you're doing. Try to figure out what's causing that, and I don't feel like enough people do that. You talk about like the creation process. For me, a lot of the joy I get is in the prep work, as far as like getting into my streaming software and playing around and finding new things, like those like one of my newest bits, the rainbow flames that I'm able to do now. That was a complete accident. That was from playing around. And I was actually trying to create what was called a painting scene. I wanted to be able to move my arms around and actually like be able to paint and write words in and all that. But by accident, I came up with, being able to do this and wave around, and all of a sudden it's like rainbow flames are coming off my arms. Well, that's where a lot of the joy comes from. And I think the point I'm trying to make is that you need to find where your joy is. What brings you that joy, and then make sure that you don't lose sight of that. It's don't beat yourself up to the point where you forget what brought you here in the first place. And that a lot of people will do that. A lot of people get so far one direction that they lose sight of here, like what's right here and what's right here in their heart. And that's you need to not lose sight of that. Make sure you always keep an eye on that. Do the fun things so that anything else that maybe comes along or any hardships you run into, I'll just roll past it.
Yeah.
I'll just roll past it.
Oh, totally. Being shy and initiating conversation, that's always a challenge. I find challenges in that myself too. I'm actually quite a shy person, honestly. And I think that's why Marbles is the way it is because it helped the way that I developed because I streamed at the same time as developing, is it helped create those conversations, right? Because there's a name in chat on a ball, and then if something cool happens, you're already creating a conversation around that. And this is specific to Marbles, and this is like something that's specific that I found because I have challenges creating conversation as well. But yeah, so like just having that little interaction, and then that person might reflect off that in chat, and then you started that conversation just by reacting off the game. Now, of course, you could do that with any game, and if you're really good at conversation, there's no challenge there. But that's something that helped me for sure. It's like Marbles sparks the conversation, and then once it starts, I can chime in and bounce as well, and then it's easier for me. And also regarding shyness, for me, it's just like you just turn the camera on, and then it just starts fading, and you just start realizing it's not a big deal. And everybody also has their opinion. Everybody has an opinion, and there might be people coming in your chat and saying things that you don't like. But you just gotta like look past that, and most of the people who come in your chat are looking to just say, "Hey, what are you up to?" Right? And then you just go off of that.
Yeah, start with every person that comes into your chat. This is something that'll help. It's a little exercise I was taught because I'm not always the best conversationalist. Was everybody that comes into your chat, say hello, and if you can get them to answer you, ask them a question. Like for me, it's just it's simple as, and if you've been in my stream, it's just as simple as hey, how's it going today? What have you been up to today? Anything exciting? That kind of thing. Let them tell you how your day is going and all that. And sometimes if chat's moving a little fast, you might miss their answers, and that part kind of sucks if that's the case. But ask everybody one question. Get in the habit of saying hello to the people that come into your chat, and ask them a question when they come in, and see, or if they'll come. Sometimes people will come into your chat too, and they'll automatically tell you how their day is or something that's going on, or, oh, I'm not having the greatest day. It's like something as simple as, hey, you want to talk about it? Kind of thing. It's don't hesitate. That it's incredibly powerful. One of the most powerful things about Twitch is its interactivity. All right. And it's one of the things that I fell in love with Marbles, is Marbles as a game is interactive. So if we're going to have all this interactivity, make sure that as an individual, you yourself are being interactive as well. All right. Talk with people, ask them questions, be genuinely be interested in where they're at too. It's an amazing social forum. And because everybody's behind a computer screen, even you technically, even though you're on camera, that makes for a fantastic catalyst. People can be a little bit more open because they're not worried about being judged necessarily in terms of like physical appearance or anything else. It's a bunch of names on a screen with the barriers torn down, and you can actually talk to each other. But ask that question. That's a really great exercise to get into, is just ask yourself, make sure you ask everybody one question as they're coming in, and that'll get you used to having more conversation. And eventually it will progress from there. As your chat gets busier, as the channels grow and all that, you're going to find that you can't do that with every single person that comes in, but then you'll start to do what I call chat sniping, which is you look over and you'll catch a comment that somebody made or a conversation that two of your community members are having, and then you can kind of pick up on that. It's like, oh, I don't know. And by the way, don't be afraid. This is another great thing for conversation. If they're talking about something you don't know about, ask, because people love to tell you about things they know about, things that they're interested in, and you're going to learn something new about your community at the same time. It just helps.
Totally. I just learned something new. That's why these are good. You're just always learning.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. It's that goes along with the whole, it's the journey and not the destination thing. There's no destination. It's a great big journey, but what a fun journey it is.
Oh,
You're
totally.
always learning something new. You're always learning something new. You're always meeting new people, and those are the kinds of things, like, if you really want to grow your channel, those are the kinds of things that you absolutely have to revel in.
Yeah.
Be the best student you can be. It's one of the best things you can do. Absolutely.
And then I think one thing I just want to chime in on that nobody's really mentioned is speed. A lot of people get into this and really, and even me when I started, I wanted marbles to grow faster. I wasn't really thinking about the stream side of things. I was more thinking about marbles, and I wanted it to grow so fast. And I was getting ahead of myself mentally, and then I was planning for things and wasting time on things that are like so far down the road that it hindered what I was doing, what's right here. Kind of like what Standard was saying. It's like right here. It's just focus on this and just continue pushing forward. And a lot of people are looking to like hit those numbers like within 2 months. One thing I gotta say is like people gotta grow a habit around you. And from my research and like just me like researching this idea is that it usually takes about 2 weeks for somebody to make a habit, right? So let's say you started streaming on day one and you go 2 weeks. You've gained people as a habit from day one, but people have found you all along that way. So there's going to be 2 week points from every day after those 2 weeks of other people hitting their 2 week point of growing that habit around you. So think about that. And I think once you start thinking about that, that's how streaming can be so addicting, is that you're always pushing towards a goal. Every single day you work on something, you're pushing that ball forward. Even if it's an inch, even if it's a micro millimeter, it's still pushing forward because you're learning something. And even if it's a failure and it feels like a step back, it's taught you something. And you got to pull something out of that and extract it and go, okay, what happened here? And even when a positive thing happened, extract it and go, what happened here? Why did I get a spike in viewership? Why did chat go crazy when I did this thing, right? And break down these moments. And a good tool to do these things that Standard and I use daily is Twitch Tracker. Is you can type in a channel, go look at it, look at your stream data, and just break it down. And just don't look at it in a negative way and beat yourself up. Look at it and just try to grow from it and just extract the information that you can and use it. I think it's really important to do that kind of stuff because it'll always teach you something.
It's one of my along the lines of what you're saying, Mike. One of my favorite things to do is screwing up. One of my favorite things to do is screwing up, because whenever I'm screwing up, or whenever I have a setback, or it seems like I've hit a plateau in some area, it means the channel's about to grow again. And it's because you have to be willing to look at those mistakes, as you said. You got to be willing to look at those mistakes and learn from them. But enjoy your mistakes. Like if you're doing everything right all the time, you're probably not learning. And when you make those mistakes and you're looking at those numbers, you're looking at those analytics, and there are so many people that say, oh, don't look at the numbers, don't look at the numbers. Well, no, you need to see. When was, like you said, like when was chat exploding? When did suddenly I get a spike in viewership? And how long did I hold them? And what was I doing at that moment in order to hold more people there? I go back and I watch VODs all the time to see for the technical standpoint, as well as my own personal content. Like, how was I acting? What was I doing? What was I saying at that moment? But my God, do I revel in mistakes. Like it's such an incredible experience, because you can look at that and go, all right, because what comes from mistakes? Ideas come from mistakes. That's what comes from mistakes. So when you're making those mistakes and you look at that, it's go, all right, so that didn't work. Let's try this now, and it gives you a chance to kind of progress. That's where growth comes from. You get that growth from making errors along the way. And so many people beat themselves up so badly over that. And it's really not the way to look at it. No, like I said, it's like I always say, there's no instruction manual with this. So you're going to have to learn from the errors that you make. It'll be that simple.
Totally. We got about 10 minutes left in the sesh. Does anybody want to? I guess we can kind of close off and bounce off chat a little bit more if you guys want. If you guys have any last minute stuff. We also want to again know if for future episodes of this, if we do this every week before Community Day, what are specific topics that you guys might want to hear about that we can kind of structure a conversation around and then reflect off you guys the same way we just did today. I've already learned something new, so I already see value in doing this, just hanging out with you for an hour. They're standard, so
yeah, no, it's always it's great to have the conversation and find out what Chad. I love seeing what you guys want to hear about. We really want to know what you'd like us to cover, because we're gonna keep we're gonna keep to a very strict schedule here. We're gonna make sure that we run it for an hour every week. But I want to make sure that it's a quality hour for all of you. I want to make sure that we're giving you the content that you need to grow, and we're talking about things that you would like to talk about. So let us know what you want to know, either right now in chat, or if you want to jump into the Pixel Discord and let us know some more things there that you would like to hear about. I got a massive list yesterday during the class as well. So tell us, and we'll be happy to cover this.
Oh, yeah.
We'll be happy to cover this.
Totally, Java Junkie. Yeah, Shens, timestamps are good. There's actually a tool on the Twitch dashboard where you can mark clips. You can mark timestamps through your video, and then I think when you go back to the editor, your timestamps will be there, and then you can grab clips or highlights as you need them. But that's great.
Mm-hmm.
Like knowing the hot spots in your during your stream that you can extract from, for sure. Add stream marker. Yeah, right. That's what it's called.
Yep. That one. Thank you, Tara.
I personally don't even use it that much, honestly. There's a lot of things I can grow on as well. What's up, Marble Nerd? So yeah, we'll close this off in the next couple minutes here.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything else? We set up
the value of channel memes and running gags, or in other words, perhaps the balance of being serious versus joking. That's one we can cover. I'll add that one to my notes.
The value of channel. Oh, interesting. Yeah, of course, right?
Yeah, there's actually there are some very serious things. Agent, you actually just said a mouthful there. There's some very serious things to discuss.
How do you guys feel when it comes to streaming less while making other content elsewhere? Standard actually made recent decisions for his stream regarding that kind of stuff, but definitely, like, if you let's say you have 8 hours in the day to put towards your career as a content creator, you could either do 8 hours straight of streaming, and then you're going to be limited on what you can do on the outside of that time, because then you're starting to dabble into whatever other responsibilities you have. So let's say you have 8 hours. I think it's a smart decision to make a decision to stream less if you can put that extra 4 hours or whatever you're cutting out of the stream to put towards other content. But if you're just gonna not really do anything, then stream. But if you're gonna get to the books and do some content creation, or just extract videos, or learn something, or spend some time in other channels, even like all this kind of stuff is valuable, and I think is all stuff that should be layered with your content creation, because that's something that I do. Is like my evenings are consumed by consuming streams. My daytime is either working on the business or streaming and doing that stuff. So I always have these frameworked moments during my day that are meant for priority elements of interacting with everybody in the community. And then Standard, I'm sure, will speak on his.
Here's the we could cover a whole hour on that. All right, but I'm gonna give you everybody here a very basic idea right now, and this is something that a lot of people forget. All right, when you say I'm going to stream less so I can do more in other places, all right, and here's where I see a lot of streamers make the mistake. All right, they stop working other places. They just simply stream less, and that's bad. If you're going to fall into that trap, you're better off streaming 8 hours instead of 5, and just focusing on your stream if you're not going to build in other places. So if you're going to say, and this is something that, you know, as Mike pointed out, I have just made these decisions recently. All right. If you're going to stream less, then you need to make sure you are visible other places. So as soon as I streamed less, I started doubling down on Twitter. I'm starting to develop my YouTube skills. I have actually been reaching out to some other YouTubers for some help. There's a lot of things there that you need to do, a lot of research, a lot of homework. And by the way, while you're doing that, you also want to make sure that you are doing things to improve your stream, so that if you're going to stream 5 hours instead of 8, let's say, which was the decision I made, I actually made that decision a few months ago, to stream 5 hours a day instead of 8, then I wanted to make sure that those 5 hours were more impactful. So that's when I started developing more of the technology for my stream. I made sure that for that 5 hours, I kept my energy up. That was actually one of the reasons why I cut back, is I wanted to have 5 hours of high energy with the community instead of 4 hours of high energy and then another 4 hours of, because I could feel myself start to dip after, you know, after a certain period of time. And that falls under streamer know thyself. But getting back on topic, you have to make sure, the key thing is, if you are going to say I'm streaming less so I can do more over here, then you need to make sure you're doing more over there. If you tell your community you're going to see me more on social media, you're going to see me everywhere, then you need to make sure you're doing that. You need to make sure you're posting on the social media. You need to make sure that you're out in the community more. In my case, one of the big decisions is we're doing those classes every week. Every other week we're in the Pixel Discord. Every other week we're in mine. All right. Make sure that you are out there. Make sure that you can be seen, so that you're still providing that value to your community, so that your community will still be there to support you, even if you are on camera less while you're doing it. All right. That's a very key thing, though, is that a lot of people go, well, now I'm only streaming for 5 hours, so I can do whatever I want in the morning, or I can do whatever I want at night. No, 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 no. You still need to be working. You still need to put the same amount of time in. You just need to be making sure you're putting that time in multiple places, which is ultimately what you want to do as a content creator anyway. You don't want to put all your eggs in one basket. You do want to spread the love around, and that way more of your community can find you. That goes back to what we were talking about a little bit earlier. More of your community can find you more often, is where that all comes from.
100%. And just, there's an extension from Night Fox onto this. Now, the content that you're working on off stream, is it still related to the content you are making on your stream? One thing I'd like to say about that is, if you don't think about it that way, think about it as you're making content for your brand, and you need to put that brand out there on every platform, right? So everything's relevant and everything can be placed onto each platform, right? And it's just about putting in the right place and at the right time and with the right context. So no, it's not just like, you're not just making stuff for your stream, is you're making stuff for your brand that can be used anywhere, really.
Mm-hmm. If I could add to that too, Mike, Night Fox, along the lines of what you're asking, this is the way, this has really been helping me quite a bit, and hopefully this will help you as well. What you need to do is you need to decide where your home base is going to be out there in the, out of the entire internet. Where is your home base going to be? All right. Using myself as the example, just real quickly, obviously my home base is Twitch. All right. Live streaming is where it's really at for me. It's where I have my deepest passions. It's where my community is. My entire game requires Twitch to run. I mean, it's just the way it's going to be. All right. So that being said, every place else I go should supplement that. All right. So everything else I do, every place else, is to drive people back to my Twitch channel. All right. So whether I'm going to be out on social media, giving you little insights into my life, or I'm going to be on YouTube doing tutorial videos, which is part of my plan as far as how to grow with marbles, how to grow as a streamer, that kind of thing, it all drives back into my Twitch channel. All right. So that is a very key thing. Don't scatter yourself, is what I'm saying. Pick your home base. Like, this is where home base is going to be. Everything else is supplemental. The other thing that helps with is when you're under a time crunch, and you're going to find this happens a lot, and you have to pick and choose where you've got to focus your time that week. Say there's something else going on in your personal life that's making your schedule, absolute hell, or whatever's going on. You know where you're going to prioritize. All right. So, and in your mind, you'll go, all right, it's Twitch first, Twitter second, YouTube third. Like, you can actually do that if you've chosen where your home base is going to be. But pick a home base, let everything else around that supplement where you want your home base to be. But make sure that you're providing value. It should add to, not take away from where your main focus is.
Hell yeah. All right, guys. Well, that's an hour. Thanks for coming out. That was amazing. So we're going to do this at least for the next little while before community days. And either Standard or Spoo will be here, or both. We'll just go as we schedule as we can, and however availability applies. And I already made notes of like some of the topics you guys have been mentioning on chat, so we'll just continue reflecting off of it and expand this experience for you guys. And as long as it's providing you guys value and everybody's learning, then I see no reason not to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, everybody, don't hesitate to send us messages. Don't hesitate to jump into the Discord. Give us your feedback. Let us know, if there's things that we didn't talk about or we didn't happen to notice as chat was scrolling by. Let us know what you want to know. What can we help you with? What can we do to give you like serious value out of this hour? Because we want to make sure that it's beneficial for everybody. And please bear in mind, this helps us out too. We want to know what's on your minds. We want to know what you're thinking about. And that way we can structure our content around, again, what's going to help you the most. So
totally. All right, guys, we'll see you in an hour, and then Standard will see you in 5.
I was going to say, we'll see you guys in a few hours.
All right, guys, take care.